A very good afternoon to all of you. I hope I'm clearly visible and audible. So I welcome you to this session 100 most expected XAT questions. So we are going to talk about some highly probable questions in your XAT exam. We are going to look at grammar, vocabulary, critical reasoning, para-jumbles, all these types of questions. Okay, so I welcome you to the session. Just quickly confirm that I'm visible, audible. Good afternoon, Jaidev. Hi, Adarsh. Good afternoon. Hello, Shivanya. All right. So let's begin. You know the agenda for the day. The name of the session itself spells it out. Yes. So we are going to solve some probable ZAT questions, and at the same time, we are going to learn how to eliminate incorrect options. I think that's very crucial in an exam where a lot of your questions tend to be on the moderate side, right, or moderate to difficult side. So that's going to be the agenda for the day. Hello, Sankirtana. Visible, audible? Confirm कर दो एक बार. All right. Hi Guru. Hi Mayank. Hello Varsha. So here comes your first question. So Sankirtana, don't worry, we have a poem today also. So we'll be having a number of these 100 most expected question sessions, and in each of these sessions, I'm going to take up one poem. Right? So you don't have to worry about it. All right. So let's have our first question for the day, which is a very easy question, right? I thought to ease you into the questions. So this is our question here. This is option C. You have to read the instructions and tell me the correct answer. Yes. I'm hiding a bit of it, is it? All right. Look at the question. Hello, Satyam. Look at this. 5 options. Some parts have been underlined. Okay, so Bendu, ask away. I hope it's not a college percentile query. Abhishek, Manasa, Saurabh, Shivanya, Kaushik, all of you say C. Good noon, Rajan. Varsha says C, but Mayank says B. Okay. See, I think A and D, all of you must have eliminated. Yes? Let me just come back to the screen. A and D, all of you must have eliminated. Yes? Because unique from, when we use the word unique, that means it is one of a kind. It is one of a kind. So we never compare one unique thing with any other thing for the reason that it is unique. Right. So that's why this comparison itself becomes logically flawed here. A and D eliminated. Then different from fits. Different from is fine in all the 3 sentences that are left. Now it's about conjunction and about the usage of had not versus had. That's the difference. Now, because there is a no already here, we'll not say hadn't expected no criticism. This becomes a double negative, right? Double negative is not accepted in standard British English. You'll see it being used in slang, in hip hop, in rap songs, you'll see. You'll see a lot of double negatives there. But in standard British English, you do not use double negatives, and that's why it is eliminated. So now it reduces to the conjunction, right? So Vikram's approach to the problem was different from Harpreet's, but he had expected no criticism from her. See, even though his approach was different, He wasn't expecting criticism. So C is the better choice here as compared to E. Vikram's approach to the problem was different from Harpreet's, even though they were following different approaches. Vikram hadn't expected that Harpreet will criticize him, right? So, but he had expected no criticism from her is logically a better choice because they are following two different methods, right? If let's say they were the same approaches, then and would be better. Then and would be a better choice if they were following the same approaches or similar approaches. Hence, C. Good. So it was a combination of, I think, the correct vocabulary here, whether unique or different should come, the correct conjunction, this becomes grammar, right? This is again a matter of usage, right? So grammar, usage, logic, all were being applied in this question. Okay. So let's have a look at a poem. We did this earlier, this question itself. Maybe last year. Okay. So this is the poem here. I know it's a relatively lengthy one, right? Usually I do not take this up because it is a relatively lengthy one, but I thought to do this. It's a previous year poem. It came in one of your previous years, right? I think that 2018. Now there are two questions that follow this, and they are not questions on the essence of the poem as such. They are specific questions. Let me show you the questions also. Just a second. So one is a specific question that asks you something about free will, fate, and will, how they have been used in the poem above, right? And then there's another question which is about the interpretation of one particular sentence. Lovers have some secrets that they keep. So keeping this in mind, you now know which words, which sentences to focus on, but also focus on an understanding of the poem. It's not difficult. Okay, read it and then let's attempt the questions. Let's see how to attempt a poem. Right. This is the first session of the series. This is the part one, and I am going to disappear for a while so that you can read the question. Yes, this is a question from XAT 2018. Satyam, yes, logically, meaning wise, a double negative becomes a positive. If I say he hadn't expected no criticism, that means he had actually expected criticism. Read the poem? All right. Let's have a look at the next one. And yes, so Bendu, NM considers the first attempt. That's also there. Okay. Let's see. What do you say about this one? Shrikar, not done. Not all of them, Mayank, not all of them. Uh, just a second. Going back, one of you wants to read. Okay. I think now you must have completed reading. Some students have even started answering. So let's have a look. I am coming back. Perfect. I've got an A. All right. Others? Any other option? Okay, all of you say A. Absolutely correct. So the point here is that not every poem and not every question of a poem is going to be difficult, right? It was easy for you to comprehend here that the author was talking about escaping, free will, escaping fate. So when he talks about falling in love, right? What is love? Dissolving the will. So will is being dissolved. You are escaping free will and fate. That means these ideas are opposite to the idea of love. So it was easy to comprehend and therefore an easy question. So my point here is that do not leave a poem entirely, right? See what kinds of questions have been asked later on. So just give it a shot. That's my strategy for poems. I always give them a shot. If I find the question to be extraordinarily difficult and the options very hard to eliminate, then I leave that particular question. But I do give it a shot. Okay. So let's have a look at this one. The closest interpretation of lovers have some secrets that they keep. Corpses are dead bodies, Shrikar. Okay, all right. Profundity is the depth of insight or the depth of knowledge. So I've got C, A, B. All right. C, okay. B, C. Okay, okay. Anshul, I don't think you can do it. See this. Let's come to our poem, right? So here, when we look at the last part, yes, the last part, this part, be clear like mirror holding nothing. So a mirror holding nothing, clear. Be clean of pictures and the worry that comes with images. Gaze into what is not ashamed or afraid of any truth. You're not afraid of any truth. Contain all human faces in your own without any judgment of them. Be pure emptiness. So you are becoming emptiness. You are not gaining freedom from emptiness. You yourself are becoming emptiness. What is inside of that, you ask? Silence is all I can say. Lovers have some secrets they keep. Actually, they're not keeping any secrets. They are like a mirror holding nothing, clean of pictures, not afraid of any truth, right? They are pure emptiness. So there is no secret there. Okay, there's just silence, no secrets. So that is why our answer is going to be not freedom from happiness. B, the secret is not to have any secret. It's not about knowledge. It's not about the depth of your knowledge. It's not about being a judge of human quality. This is completely alien, right? There is no comparison that you love someone as much as you love yourself. No comparison happening. This is opposite to the idea that is there in the poem. The one that is left is B. The secret is not to have any secret. Right. So, the depth of your knowledge or insight has not been discussed, quality not discussed, comparison not made. This becomes false. So, you should have read this very carefully. And that is why B is the answer. So you are simply eliminating just like you eliminate in your RC passages. So the technique to solve these questions, poem questions, is not very different from RC passages. Ultimately, you're understanding an extract and then, acting on it, attempting questions based on it. Okay, let's see if you have any queries. In snap slot 3, which was the suffix stardom or fallen. Actually, Isham, I was really enraged at these questions because I felt that Snap, its authorities themselves don't understand the meaning of a suffix. Okay, for instance, in hydrophobia, frequently also, if I look at both the words, so phobe plus ia, again, or in fact, phobia also acts as a suffix, right? Frequent plus ly is also a suffix. So if you ask any linguist, no, he or she would tell you both are the correct answers. Similarly, fall plus en, that becomes fallen, right? En acts as a suffix there. But star plus dum, stardom is also, dom actually turns it into an abstract noun. So I don't know, I mean, how they can ask questions where both the words, if you break them etymologically, are correct. However, if let's say I were in an exam situation, probably I would have gone for stardom in an exam situation, right? Because उसमें मुझे ज़्यादा बड़ा लग रहा है कि suffix add करा हुआ है. That's the only rationale. Otherwise, technically speaking, both are fine, right? I think they don't understand the concept of a suffix. So B Bangalore was the answer here. Anyway, so this was your poem, right? Let's come to some critical reasoning questions. Okay, now in your previous years, what I observed as I analyzed the papers was that some of your critical reasoning questions are very logical in the sense that you just need to form relationships. Okay, A leads to B, B leads to C, those kinds of relationships, and you will be able to solve the questions. In fact, in XAT 2022 itself, two such questions were asked. One was about catastrophes and accidents, and there was one more where you needed to just apply your knowledge. It was about geological movements, something of that sort, right? So I found a similar question in one of your previous year papers, right? And here again, you just have to apply your logic. I discussed it with some students last year as well, and let's see what you say. You just have to understand this well, eliminate, and tell me the answer. Yes. Okay. Got one response already. E is what quite a few of you are saying. Then I've got one more C as well. All right, let's discuss. So this was a very logical one. As I told you, you just had to form relationships. Okay. So the size of oceanic waves, let's give them symbols, right? So the size of oceanic waves is a function of, this is a function of velocity of the wind and of the fetch. Okay, fetch has also been defined for you. You don't even need to worry about what fetch means. It's the length of the surface of the water subject to those winds. Now, the average impact of waves against a coastline, average impact of waves against a coastline is a function of this S, the size of the waves, and the shape of the sea bottom. The shape of the sea bottom. Now, the degree of erosion on a coastline is a function of the average impact of the waves, this I that we just wrote, and the geologic composition of the coastline. So, this is what is given to us. So, which of the following options will be true? The fetch of the wind is related to the shape of the sea bottom. Is it? Is it related to the shape of the sea bottom, or are they different? Fetch of the wind is related to size of oceanic waves. So eliminated. So this way you can eliminate all the options. E is the answer. You are correct. The size of oceanic waves will not fluctuate far from average. How can we infer this? I think this should have been eliminated outrightly, that it will not fluctuate far from the average, right? It may not. We have not been given any such data. C says the size of oceanic wave is correlated with the shape of the sea bottom. So the size of oceanic waves, this S, is correlated with the shape of the sea bottom. See, collectively they are correlated with the impact. Collectively they are correlated with the impact, but are they correlated to each other? We do not know. Again, eliminated. D. Degree of erosion on a coastline is not related with the velocity of the wind. It is, because erosion is dependent on impact. Impact is dependent on size. Size is dependent on velocity. So indirectly, yes, it is correlated. It is related. So eliminated. E is the answer. The degree of erosion on a coastline is related to the shape of the sea bottom, because it is related to impact. So it is related to B as well. Right? Very logical question. And a lot of times students think that just because it's XAT, it's going to ask very abstract critical reasoning questions. While we have had our fair share of abstract questions also, we've had a good number of such very logical questions as well. Right? So E is the answer here. Okay. Coming to this one, this came in XAT 2021. Okay, and this one is what you can call philosophical or slightly abstract. That's why I wanted to discuss this. It is followed by two questions, okay, based on just this paragraph. So let's have a look. What can be best inferred from the passage? Yes, best inferred. So in XAT 2022 also, you had a lot of such questions from passages, from critical reasoning, which were all about conclusion, best concluded, best inferred. A lot of such questions. So your conclusion skills, your uh, capability, your skill to derive conclusions should be top notch, right? So best inferred, best concluded. Coming to this one, yes. Am I hiding a bit of it? I think visible. All right. So there was a momentary connection loss, right? Uh, yes, this just a momentary one. So A is what you are saying. A, some of you are also saying B. Let's have a look. So here, I think you should have narrowed down to A and B only, right? The others could be eliminated. War and conquest are a part of the truth of our life. There are multiple errors here in the sense that the author doesn't just talk about conquest, the author also talks about union. Okay, and they are basically ways to realize the truth of our life. They are guided by the truth of our life. So eliminated. Inferiority, superiority, not discussed, eliminated. The truth of our life co-evolved with our quest for sympathetic supremacy. What does this even mean, sympathetic supremacy? So, a very distorted representation of sympathy and power, sympathetic supremacy. So, eliminated. Now, between A and B, those who marked A, how did you reject B? That's the question. Yes, because B on the face of it appears fine to me. Habits have been mentioned, surroundings have been mentioned, and we've said that they determine our attitude, and our attitude in turn determines the truth of our life. So how is this incorrect? Yes, let's see this again. You can reduce this to some symbols. You can make relations, cause effect relations here. uh, it says that our surroundings and our temperaments, very very important. B does not talk about our temperaments at all. Our surroundings and our temperaments They basically they shape our habit of dealing with the world, right? Our habit of dealing with the world is shaped by our circumstances, how our surroundings are, how our temperaments are. So our habit of dealing with the world, right? Our habit of dealing with the world. So if let's say my surroundings are good and my temperament is also pretty calm, I'll have a habit of dealing with the world in a calm, composed manner with equanimity. So this actually then becomes my attitude. This habit, when repeated, becomes the attitude of my mind. And this attitude of my mind is actually determining the truth of my life. The truth of my life. So B is incomplete in the sense that it does not talk about temperaments, first of all. And it's not our habits in general that determine the truth of our life. It's our habit of dealing with the world based on our surroundings and temperaments. That is what is determining ultimately the truth of our life. That is why B becomes incomplete and slightly distorted when it says our habits. A, on the other hand, it's very clearly given to us. It guides. What guides? The truth of our life. The truth of our life guides our attempts to establish relations with the universe, either by conquest or by union. So, when we realize our truth of life, we realize it through two ways: conquest or union. And this, in fact, is given later on as well. Right? B is incomplete. Yes. And even the crux here is conquest versus union. These two ways of looking at life. Absolutely correct. A is our answer. Good that you were able to eliminate here. This is not a very easy question. Let me state that as well. Now, I think this will be easy for you considering that you've attempted, most of you attempted the previous one correctly. Let's see what you say. And I'll just let's see, let's see. A, D, all right. But I've got quite a few D's, three A's also. Okay, okay. Let's have a look. So it had to be A versus D. Again, you narrowed down to the correct two options, A and D. The others could be eliminated easily. Again, see this, our attitude of mind formed by our habits. Are we talking about our habits in general? No, we are talking about our habit of dealing with the world according to the special circumstance of our surroundings and our temperaments. So, this again becomes vague. This again becomes distorted in that sense. D, yes. How we deal with our surroundings and our temperaments, right, ultimately determines our attitude, our truth, and this truth then determines whether we emphasize on duality, this dualism, or unity. That's why D is better. Good. Those who mark D. Okay, A was a tempting option, but again, for the same reason that we rejected it there in the previous question, we'll reject it here as well. That's why I said that if you got the previous one correct, ये भी correct हो जाएगा. ठीक है? Yes. Any queries so far you can ask me. So my attempt is to expose you to not just, let's say, vocabulary and grammar. We've already had a session on vocabulary and grammar in the last lab. Okay, I hope you attended it. If you didn't, you can watch the recording. Right. We are also going to have sessions on critical reasoning. There's a separate session on critical reasoning. Right. So you need not worry about CR also. Uh, but I wanted to expose you to poems today, to expose you to more CR questions today, along with, of course, vocabulary and grammar. That is evergreen, right? Okay, so let's have a look at this vocabulary question. As I said, vocabulary is evergreen, grammar is evergreen. It will help you for TISNET also. So Tell me what should come here. Yes. Weakening, strengthening CR questions. Confusing to select option. Okay. I'll discuss. Don't worry, Sankirtana. In fact, I'll bring some questions in the next 100 most expected. No, I'll bring some strengthen, weaken CR questions. Okay. Why A and not D? Why A and not D? Okay, so I've got one D also. All right. Yes, these are previous year questions. Now see this. Here, uh, harsh versus relentless. That is what it came down to, isn't it? Because the others are the same. In different actions, understandable, they are the same in A and D both. But look at the word that comes next to it, unchangeable. The idea is to emphasize the rigidity of something, that nature is rigid. So harsh becomes a more negative word as compared to relentless, which again is in line with this meaning that I want to emphasize on, how rigid it is, how inflexible it is. So relentless and unchangeable. This fits better here as compared to D, Delhi. This is the reason I chose this question, because these two options were very close here, right? You could eliminate the others very easily. See, heartless, again, a very negative word. It is heartless, nature. Why heartless? Then it is unconcerned. We are usually unconcerned with something, right? It is unconcerned with something. So eliminated, heartless, unconcerned. Indifferent as to whether it's hidden reasons. This makes sense. Apathetic would also have made sense because apathy is also indifference, but it is rejected because of inexorable. What is inexorable? Yes, a new word for some of you, inexorable. Tell me. Hmm. Inexorable. What is exorable? Inexorable is the opposite of that. Yes. So, inexorable is something that you cannot pardon, something that you cannot forgive. So, unforgivable. Unforgivable. Okay, that is inexorable. See, when I say Uh, just a second. You're saying impossible to prevent. Uh, am I just confusing it with some other word? Exonerate is to pardon. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You guys are right. You guys are right. Inexorable is impossible to stop or prevent. I actually confused it with exonerate. Exonerate is to pardon. Okay. Exonerate is to pardon. And here, had it been inexonerable, then yes, that would have been the meaning. Inexonerable would be something that you can't pardon, something that you can't forgive. But yes, it is inexorable. So you are right when something is impossible to prevent or stop. Right. So we learned common confusables here. So inexorable in that case, it is inexorable. Okay, but if we are not talking about the march of something, something that is impossible to stop, it's not like nature is proceeding in some direction. Moreover, explicable is also a very strong reason to eliminate this. Nature is not trying to explain something to man. So, explicable to man means something that can be explained to man. But nature is not trying to explain anything to man. So, explicable ki wajah se bhi we can eliminate C easily. So C eliminated. Then we already eliminated B and D. Between A and D, we have decided why we have chosen A and not D. Right? Any words that are new for you, any other words we can discuss. All right, all right. So our answer is A here. Good. Now, this was a vocabulary question, and again, we attempted through elimination only. And something that I told you in last lap as well, that these questions, vocabulary questions, you may not know the meaning of each and every word, but you may know the meanings of some words. So, on the basis of that, just eliminate. Right? So, for instance, I didn't pay attention to inexorable here, but I eliminated on the basis of explicable. Now, here's a parajumble question, but before that, strength and weaken. The most common problem that students face in strengthen versus weaken question is that they get confused between two such options where, let's say, I have a weaken question, right? Now, both are attacking something, both are in the nature of an attack, okay? But there is one which is a more general attack, whereas there is one which is very specifically attacking my existing argument. So, your existing argument should be very clear to you. What is the existing conclusion and what premises is it based on? Author का क्या central argument है? If that is clear to you know, then you can navigate through these two options. But usually what happens is students think, oh, this is also attacking. ये भी तो weaken ही करेगी ना. अब weaken पर उसको existing argument को करना है. Generally कुछ भी किसी भी चीज को attack नहीं करना है. So this is one thing that you have to pay attention to. Another thing is, see, there's a very methodical approach to attempting these questions. If I look at the structure of an argument, it is premise plus assumption leading to the conclusion. So there are just two to three set ways of strengthening or weakening an argument. या तो मैं एक premise ही और नया ले आऊं जो support कर रहा है conclusion को, या फिर मैं existing premise को ही support कर दूं बहुत सारा data लाके, right? एक option ये है. या फिर ये जो assumptions अभी hidden है मैं इनको visible कर दूं. अभी तो arguer ने for granted ले लिया that the author took it for granted, the arguer took it for granted that the reader will understand, okay, these are the assumptions, but you make them explicit, right? So either you bring a new premise that supports the existing conclusion, always keep sight of the existing conclusion, or you add some data that acts as a support to a current premises, existing premises, or you make visible a hidden assumption, right? That is how you strengthen it. And when you weaken, you do the exact opposite of it. You bring a premise that contradicts, that weakens, that attacks this conclusion. You bring some data that contradicts an existing premise, or you state the exact opposite of the assumption. So there is this method to it. If you follow this method in elimination, you know most of the times you'll be sorted, right? Okay, so I hope this helps, and I'll bring a couple of questions. I think when we implement it on questions, it will be clearer, right? Okay, so let's have a look at this one. Parajumble question. There are 5 sentences, and these are your options. So tell me, which is the best sequence here? Premises, yes. What are your premises? Your premises are the very foundation, your very basis of saying something. If I say, I think that MI10 is the best mobile out there because of its video quality, my premise is that I'm saying its video quality is good, right? So this is the very foundation. मेरा ये basis ही यही है कहने का कि वो best है यहाँ पे because उसका best video quality है, उसका या good video quality है, right? So premises, it is supporting the conclusion like anything. So if you bring an additional one, उसको extra support मिल जाएगा, right? A very easy question, okay? The reason I chose this is to tell you that you don't have to get caught up in jargon. Don't get caught up in these technical words. Sanjana says A, Mohit says B. Lokesh A, Satyansh A, Guru A, Maitri A. All right. So a lot of you say A, and see, not getting caught up in the jargon helped, isn't it? Just focusing on the connections. So this happens when we get such sentences that talk about a field that's, let's say, not our field, so to say. We get caught up in such words such as supersymmetry, electroweak symmetry, all these words. But you don't have to do that. You just have to make connections, just links. So how I proceeded with this question was, I first saw whether 1, 3, or 5 was the opening sentence. 3 was continuing the idea of electroweak model in the standard electroweak model. So I eliminated it. 5 was carrying, again carrying some idea forward and talking about SUSY extension. So first I'll have to talk about supersymmetry. So I eliminated it. Then I also realized that 5 should come after 3 because 5 is again extending the very idea of the standard electroweak model. तो मैंने ये भी eliminate कर दिया. And you also did the same. You also narrowed down to A and B. These are very close. It's about 3-4 versus 4-3. 3-4 versus 4-3. But then 4-5 belong together. So because 4-5 belong together, it has to be option A. Right? That makes it easy to solve. Absolutely correct. 4-5 is a mandatory pair. In fact, yes, if you realize it right in the beginning, no, then you don't even need to proceed the way I proceeded. You can just see that 4-5 is a pair. Just confirm it by checking your sequence once and then mark the answer. So don't get caught up. Such questions have come up again and again in XAT where they give you something very technical, right? There was something about super string theory also in one of the years. So it appeared very technical, but then you could make connections just the way we have made them here, right? Okay, then let's come to a grammar question then. You have to tell me. A very conceptual question. You have to tell me the parts of speech of these words. Okay, MBA, it, helps, important, okay, most, how, tackle, and. And if you see in your options, not all of these are given. Not all of these have been numbered and asked. So one combination is correct. Tell me what is that combination? Yes. Satyam, what did you mark? So just solve it. Okay, you can just go back a little, solve it, and tell me what you would mark in this parajumble. Okay, so 1 E, A E, that's what I've got. Kushi says A, all right. Quite a few A's on my screen. This is like following a trend. Yes. Uh, so A versus E, that's what I've got, I believe. And just a second, have I got E? Yes, I did get one E. Two E's. All right. MBA is a noun. It's the name of a course. It is a pronoun. It refers to something. It certainly helps. Right? MBA को refer कर रहा है. Helps is an action, so it's a verb. Important we call a noun, so basically it has been getting more important. It is MBA, okay, and I am calling it as important. So I am describing a pronoun. The words that describe a noun or a pronoun are called adjectives. Okay. Most MBA programs. Yes, what is this most here? Most MBA programs. What is it? It is again an adjective because it describes programs. Most programs. So most is also an adjective. MBA programs is functioning as a noun here. So most उसको describe करे तो adjective है. They equip their graduates to understand how to deal with many of the important questions. Which part of speech is this? How to deal with? Yes. How कौन सा part of speech? I think this will be new for some of you. How? It's an adverb. Okay. Because it tells me the manner of something. So it's an adverb here. Let's see. Not an adjective, not an adjective, an adverb. So ये हो गया adverb. To tackle. Now, if you ask me very strictly, okay, here tackle is a verb, but collectively this to tackle, okay, that their organizations will need to tackle over time. Their organizations will need something, will need to tackle over time. So this tackle is a verb, but collectively it is called an infinitive. This is a verbal here, right? Verbs that are not acting as verbs but rather as nouns, adjectives, or adverbs, they are called infinitives. Okay, so it equips the MBA programs equip their graduates to understand how to deal with many of the important questions that their organizations will need to tackle over time, right? So this is a verb here. Collectively, this is an infinitive here and is a conjunction, right? And that's why our answer should be what? A or E? Should it be A? Should it be E? Yes. It should be E, I think, है ना? 2 is a pronoun, 3 is a verb, 4 is an adjective, correct? 7 is a verb and 8 is a conjunction. E. Okay. Oh, itna so angry about this. Just a parts of speech question. So in grammar, you need to be thorough with your parts of speech, not just for that, but also for TISNET. Yes. So this is a previous year question only. I have not made these up. Is the answer. Good. So today we saw a mix of vocabulary, grammar, critical reasoning, para-jumble, and even poem comprehension questions, right? That's the effort. So in every 100 most expected, I'll bring a poem question for you. So don't worry, we'll cover some poems, okay? 5, 6 poems we'll cover before the exam. And that will be equivalent to one whole session on poems, right? 5, 6 poems with about 10, 12 questions, right? Uh, I hope you know about this program, CAT 2023. So those of your friends who are preparing for CAT 23, you can recommend this to them. Yes. And the last lap is going on. I just talked to you about it. We will have a critical reasoning session also there and one more session in VALR. So do attend it, right? Okay. Do follow us on various social media platforms. Yes. We are there on Telegram, right? And we also conduct a lot more sessions on our app. So you can join our app as well, right? I'll see you tomorrow then with another session. Welcome, welcome. Next session should be day after tomorrow. My session is day after tomorrow at 12. Okay. Thursday, and we'll again have 100 most expected session. We'll have a number of 100 most expected now. This was just part 1. Welcome, guys. Welcome. I just hope it helps. Right? Bye bye. See you. Yes, do like the session. Thank you. Thank you, Kushi.